what is your opinion on FD, especially with the changes that they have made for this year?
It's the worst event in the world. I hate it. Go help some friends build their cars and jump in the passenger seat, get out there, like make some friends in the scene. Like, it's an amazing scene. It's a great outlet. Like, we promote a lot of men's mental health stuff, and like
awesome.
Getting out there, it's an amazing sport to get in and amongst the community of like-minded people.
Well, what's your impression on the American drift scene compared to Australia then?
So funnily enough, now I've been to a few events, I can say it's exactly the same.
Is it?
Around the world. Everyone's got the exact same mentality.
Welcome back to the #1 Drift Podcast on YouTube, presented by Injuku Racing. My name is Dawson, and today we have quite a special one. If you want to introduce yourself a little bit.
Howdy, my name's Jason Fen from Reet, Australia.
Hey, so you're actually in the U.S. right now, which we're going to get into in a little bit, but we're at Grid Life, Carolina Motorsports Park. Sadly, my car was a pile of shit this weekend, but your car was doing great. Again, we'll get into that in a minute, but before we get into it, look below the video, and if that subscribe button is still red, go ahead and click that and hit the bell notification while you're at it so you never miss a single episode. And one thing I haven't mentioned in a while, if you do want to be on the podcast, you can email me. Make sure to put the subject as Drift Resume. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got. So do you want to kind of give maybe a little bit more introduction on who you are to anyone that may not necessarily know where you came from? Because like even here, there's a bunch of people that don't even know what this car is.
Yeah, there's probably a lot that people don't know about me, so it's hard to even think what I should say to explain. But a quick rundown is I've been driving for 14, 15 years since I was 18. I'm 33 now. And all the way through the drift scene, I've just always been heavily involved, like every track day I could get to. Started a business called Reet. It's been running 5 years.
5 years, that's it? I feel like it's been longer than that.
No, it's just been a hectic 5 years.
Jesus, hell yeah.
And yeah, just push that passion on from everything I've learned from starting drifting till when this point now, and just bringing the fun into it, all about vibes. The name literally just started as a joke and it just continued, and here we are now running LZ World Tours and yeah, driving, sending my cars around the world and having fun, showing them off. And yeah.
You said it started as a joke, the name did?
Yep.
What was the joke? Like, what was the circumstance?
A flip off of Keep It Street. So there was there was like all these things going on back home, like Keep It Street, like hill driving, mountain street, all that, which is cool in Japan when it originated. But like for me, like I within the first year of having my license, lost it. I lost back home we have demerit points, so every little fine you get like 1 to 3 demerit points per fine, and I gained 30-point loss and many thousands of dollars of fines within the first year of just being an idiot on the street and thinking that I was invincible and everything else. Yeah. So it was a good wake-up call nice and early, and it got me onto the track, and I was like, this is way better. It might cost a little bit more, but it's definitely achievable. So I was kind of just forced into that way of thinking and never looked back. Literally, tried to make it to every single track day possible, and just the community and it's a safe environment. You can't go wrong. So yeah, the name just kicked off from Keep It Street. So it was Keep It Reet, which is keep it relaxed and off the street. It was just like a joke, between mates. It was like a close friend thing. Yeah. And it was the name was for a private track day. So I put it on.
Okay.
And just to get a mate on track that was building a car. And there was 30 people or something.
Shit.
Everyone just chipped in to pay for the day, and everyone just loved it. So kept on doing them. And I was just like, well, just stick with the name, whatever. And here we are, still sticking with the name.
That's fucking hilarious. Because I'm always curious about the names that people come up with. This one's Circle of Drift, based off Circle of Life. But everything, I find myself in my own circumstances saying the damn name over and over again for that. So
it's such a funny one, names of businesses and whatever. There's so many things, even on your car, in Injuku Racing, just anything, could mean anything, could start from anything, can start from a joke, can start from thinking into it too much. Yeah, just Nike. Whatever. But
where the fuck did Nike come from?
That's right. It could start from anywhere, and it might take off, it might not. So if you just don't think about it, it's kind of cool. It can just. The name will always represent something depending what you're doing, and what you're doing with the brand and your morals and values and whatever.
Yeah, definitely.
People will see that and just be like, Keep It Reet means that.
Sick. Hell yeah. Okay, well, I guess obviously you're in the American tour right now. Are you calling it a tour? Is that the
I guess
technical
so,
term?
yeah. Yeah, we're
Okay.
saying tour.
How do you like it so far?
It's been cool. It's very early stages into it. Been here since December, and it's just been setting up for the last few months. And finally, the cars arrived around the start of March. I think end of February, start of March.
Yeah.
And so I've just been like putting every single like event into a big list, a big calendar.
You just keep
And
adding
like,
to it, too?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's so big. And I'm like, what makes sense? Like, where can I go from Connecticut down and back up? And so this is, I'm calling it like the part 1 tour of the
Gotcha.
States. So
Okay.
we've come down the East Coast and back up. And got a few more events still on this side. And it looks like later in the year, everything's going to be on the West.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, nothing locked in. So that's why I'm just releasing it in parts when I actually know what I can commit to exactly. But just trying to do as much as I can. All the cool events, anything cool popping up, I'm trying to find out. So if anyone
DM
knows anything, hit me up, send them through. I'll add them to the list of 5,000 events.
Hell yeah. Okay. So what's your, I guess, impression? This is the first time you've spent this amount of time in the U.S., right?
Yeah. So I'd never thought about coming to the US. I always thought it was like just a meh kind of place. Like,
I feel like that's such a characteristic of Australians.
Like,
Like,
this
America
is
just looks like trash.
This
to
is just
everybody
basing off like it's not going to make sense to ever like go drive over there or buy a car. I was basing it off like more tourist stuff, like coming over for a vacation.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I never cared. I don't really like vacations. I'm always like, if it's car related,
same
always
way.
down. So as soon as it was like it made sense to do car stuff and send cars, I was like, hell yeah, this could make sense, and it could be fun. So that's how it kind of like kicked off,
Yeah. Just an idea that popped in your head.
pretty much.
Hell yeah. Well, what's your impression on the American drift scene compared to Australia then?
So funnily enough, like now I've been to a few events, I can say it's exactly the same
Is it?
everywhere around the world. Everyone's got the exact same mentality wherever you go, like Japan, Ireland, New Zealand, Australia, everywhere you go, it's all the same thing. Everyone's got the same kind of vibes. It's all a little community. You have some like little side communities that have their own like little niche. But at the end of the day, everyone's here for the same reason, just to burn some tires and thrash and whatever cars you got.
Is there any differences, whether it's builds or, obviously builds is probably the biggest one, but...
It's always going to revolve around whatever makes sense, like price-wise and availability. So that's probably the biggest one. Like you'll see just more common cars, like you'll see more Mustangs here. In New Zealand, you'll see more like RB-powered cars.
It's interesting you pointed out Mustangs, because like I feel like most people would point out like a Corvette or something like that instead.
I was going to say, Corvette or Mustang. And then obviously like when you go down the line, the 350Zs seems to be massive.
Yep.
Which is a worldwide one, I'm pretty sure.
Even in
seems like
Japan?
everyone.
Because I feel like they're still like glamorized in Japan a little bit. Like they're too new.
I don't know. I think they're just like if you're going to... I feel like they're up there in price for some reason in Japan. Like close enough that you just like, if I'm going to get a drift car, I'll just get a JZX 100.
Yeah, which I want one very bad. Actually, how much does it normally cost to like buy a car, keep it over there in Japan and all that
Stupid
stuff?
now. Just buying into it after COVID. I think before COVID and all that, like I'd done a few trips, and the cars ranged between like 3,000 Australian to like 10,000 for something amazing to 15,000 maybe. Where now it's like entry level is like 20 to 30,000 Australian.
Oh God,
it's messed up,
dude.
And you still probably have to go work on it.
Yeah, and then you gotta think of hotel costs and
the flights, hotel, tires, everything.
You pay to have it there, store it. And shit.
Probably like the costs for like the trip is probably around 10, and then like for flights, everything, and then the car on top. Which you can sell after. It like definitely will hold its value if you don't write it off. So,
but then you got to think about that the entire time you're driving it too.
I
And
guess,
it kind of, I feel like that would defeat the fun aspect of the trip.
Yeah, but that's why you just go buy something that's already half ridden off, so you don't have to care too much.
There you go. Well, I'll contact you for the Connect when I do it.
Easy.
Okay, so then actually, how much did it cost to get this here?
That was. So I sent a 40-foot container instead of going like one car and a 20-foot.
Okay.
It wasn't too much more expensive to send. 1 second. Oh god, damn. That South Carolina pollen. So it wasn't too much more. It was like a few thousand extra to go from a 20-foot to a 40-foot, which you're allowed to fit 2 or 3 cars versus one, or awkwardly fit 2 into a 20-foot. So it was 15,000 Australian, and you can put whatever. So I put 2 cars. I brought all the kids' bikes, toys, and a bunch of extra clothes. No way. Oh, there probably is. Like if you're going into
like hard to hit,
like 500 lead balls or something. I'm sure there's like
that'd be a little excessive. I see that. Oh shit. Okay. Well, actually, speaking of the Bear Wags, has this kind of become like your staple car for Keep It Reet, or just for you?
Well, this is probably like the car that we built, like complete start to finish. Yeah. Like bare shell all the way through. Like me starting drifting was in not the same car. It was in a R31 Skyline sedan.
Okay.
So I've just always driven them, and I love standout things. Not many people take them all the way to like a pro level. So when I decided to build it, everyone just got around it, and now I'm just like well known for like that car. Like,
hell yeah. Okay. Well, he took me out in it yesterday. And the thing was fucking nuts. You actually, I've never been in a car that crazy, so it was a cool experience for me. Actually, do people tend to like get their phone out and stuff? That's one thing I try and not do.
Yeah,
I try
and
enjoy the moment when I'm riding with people.
Sometimes I tell them to hold the phone for me so I can film it for my vlog.
Fuck your experience, sorry.
Yeah. But I'm definitely sometimes it's like you just want to like experience this one for sure, take it all in. But you're probably lucky you didn't hold your phone, because probably would have flew off and hit you in the face.
Yeah,
some of those speeds.
My glasses were like floating off my face a little bit.
I took Hurt out, and he had a good explanation of like the speed when you got the window down. I crank my window up a little bit because I know when you're going like max speed, top of fourth. Depending what helmet you're wearing, if you don't have like the drop down visor or whatever, the wind will like try and literally rip your helmet off.
Yeah,
it's like your glasses are like blinding you, or your helmet's trying to rip off your head. It's an interesting like sensation, like going sideways that fast.
Absolutely.
Because straight forward that fast, you're like, yeah, I'm going fast, but you don't actually like feel any of the elements. And then as soon as you're sideways and getting that wind directly,
it sucks you.
It's wild.
Oh my god. Well, you were throwing some pretty insane backies while we were out there. So I asked you a little bit on like kind of how you threw your backies. I was studying, or realistically just watching the way you were doing it. Explain, if you could, in like dummy terms, for anyone out there trying to learn how to do backies, what they should try and do.
I'll try my best. It's a funny one. It's honestly like learning kickflips when you're learning skateboarding. It's the hardest, most painful thing, and you need to like study it down to the T, and then just back to back try and just do it until you get it. Like, or at least till little things click in your head, or you watch videos and you're like, okay, I was doing something not right there, but I'm no backy master. But I definitely pulled off some spicy ones.
Those are some sick ones, dude.
So I'd say it's all about the preload and the direction you're throwing it. If you try and do a big ass mungie and a really wide arc, you'll throw yourself in an awkward arc and tend to throw yourself off track. So you kind of want to like direct all your speed in a dead straight line, because when your speed is pointing dead straight, whatever you do, the car's always going to want to naturally come back to that straight line. So that's a big one. Front tyres is a big one if you're running a stupidly grippy tyre up front versus just a scrap tyre on back for an exaggerated. The car will never come back because the front tyres want to grip and just keep you backwards, and the rear tyres will never pull you straight. So you want either a matched front and rear grip, or it's easiest, or you'll notice it the most when you've got a grippier back tyre to your front. The front will just want to slide back like naturally and faster. Then the technique, throwing all your so you got the straight line forward. This is such a hard thing to explain. Throwing it straight, you want to focus on the snap, obviously. You're basically trying to throw like a spin out, but just on the edge of it turning into a 360 somehow. You want to be throwing it as much as you can with all that weight going forward.
Gotcha.
Then as soon as you're throwing it, so you can like clutch kick. It's just you know that feeling of like you're holding the steering wheel and the car wants to like bind on you. like from the weight going one way on a mungie like transition. It's basically just holding it as long as you can and waiting when as soon as the car like really wants to go the other direction is letting go and just flicking it and letting the steering wheel go straight to lock, so there's just no weight, no restriction on the transition. Snaps back to the other direction, clutch in. Sometimes to help the transition too is take the weight off the back with the handbrake and like let it break traction on the transition. Much like a normal entry.
It's incredibly impressive how fast it happens.
It definitely is.
Because, I mean, he's going like $120 down the straightaway. It probably, I would assume. I didn't look at your tag, but...
No idea.
I mean, you flick it in, because most people would flick it in and then it's initiate. But, I mean, you almost did kind of a long manji into the actual turn.
Yeah,
but
because I dragged it out. I didn't do like a slow one. I did like a very straight, it's like almost a power skid forward, like trying to really build speed in that. So it's more of a straight shoot when you're snapping. But yeah, it's very hard to explain. And you just once you've done all that first part and let it snap, and you're coasting with your clutch in, then you want to just prepare, let that clutch out, like revs up and dump it. Basically, as soon as the car starts to come back, you want to catch it, because it'll either like just shoot you straight and throw all that weight back forward and throw you straight off track. So you want to basically catch it with the rear grip, dumping it, and even riding it a little bit to like ease the like wheel speed back.
Yeah, and I'm sure you're cutting the wheel back a little bit just
and then
to get
match that throttle and power it out.
Sick.
So yeah, you should be able to get it in 5 minutes from that explanation, I'm sure.
Yeah. Make that a clip and just break it down. Yeah. Well, you actually, is that the wheel? You busted up a Kansei wheel.
Yeah,
actually, how do you say it? Kansei or Kansei?
I say Kansei.
Okay, because we've asked the owner and he was like, say it however you want.
Okay.
I'm like, sick. Okay.
Yeah, I work with Chris a lot, Sampac.
Hell yeah.
And he's really good. He's been a legend supporting us for a while now. Like even, in Australia, there's not really a sole distributor in Australia yet, something we're trying to work with them on. But it's been great. Yeah, all our cars back home, we've got 4 or 5 or 6 or something cars with the Kansei on them, which is awesome. And yeah, he sent me out a new set because I cracked one for the first time. I think one of the pairs I've had for 3 years.
Yeah,
I hit a ripple strip.
Hit
a ripple strip, I think, at Mid Pond, Alabama, like chasing some people down and trying to cut the corner a little bit too much with that tight go-kart track. Caught me off guard and boof. So he sent me out a fresh pair and we threw it out on our session, and I think it got a little bit too G'd. I think the pressure was down a bit too low, and it just wore a hole in the side, and we're driving back on rim, and I've rashed that fresh set, unfortunately.
But just builds character, brother.
Worn it in, so now I don't have to worry.
Yeah. But you're on some tires from back home too. To anyone, because I have mostly American audience, so explain what that tire is, how it compares to something that we would have here in the U.S., and just why you like it.
Definitely. Like one big thing for like anyone trying to do professional drifting is like playing with different tire brands and finding out what the best compound is and what different compounds do and how they react in different conditions. And yeah, for a lot of the Australian and New Zealand drifting, I used a brand called Tri-Ace, which I'm not sure is huge over here in the States.
I think I've heard of them before, but
they've got some really cool compounds, and they're almost identical to a Velina, like 08RS, which is, they're all insane tyres, almost too far on the grip levels, where it's impossible to chase people, and you could feel the car fighting the grip. Crazy tyre, and I don't know, what do you want to know about it?
Oh no, just for anyone out there, you told me a lot about it yesterday, but just more or less for the audience, just giving a kind of comparison, because to me in the car, it was insane how much the grip you could feel from the passenger side. Yeah. From anyone that's drifted before, you don't really feel everything, obviously, from the passenger side, but
for sure.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's definitely a game changer when you start moving into the like 160 treadwear ratings. Like there's some brands that like will change their treadwear to suit competitions and whatnot, but I feel like it's always a pretty true 160 treadwear from all the tyres I've used, and it starts to get in that really soft compound when you're off throttle. You really need to be ready for it because you grip up so much faster into the corner, and then you can really feel like almost the engine's RPM and the tyre like digging into the ground on the exit. One definite like great tyre and partner that I've had coming to the States has been Vitor, and I've been running their 200s. I'm probably going to run them for some of the competitions I do. It's been a great all-rounder. for the side bite, tire last, and forward grip for I feel like it's a better competition tire. Like if you had something like this for a control tire, everyone you can have your Power Rangers and not need a pro level car with the most expensive gearbox, most expensive drivetrain to handle it, but still have really fast, good, close, snappy transition battles. For sure.
All right. Was it? So did they make the tire that you were talking about was in the trailer that was like a step above the ones you used?
No, that's Tri-Ace. So I brought a few from home.
Gotcha.
They make for the wet weather. It's similar to a Valino. I have to compare it to.
Okay.
I haven't yet tried I really want to try the Vitor 285.
Yeah.
Like the ones they're using in FD.
Oh yeah.
They look gangster. Yeah. I reckon that'll probably compare to these Tri-Ace.
Hell yeah. Okay. Well, not to kind of just jump topics, but I don't know if there's ever really been coverage of kind of who you were before drifting, before cars, before all of this stuff. I know we talked a little bit yesterday about the mountain biking stuff.
Yep.
So give me a little rundown on who you were before all of this.
So much like any drifter, you've come from I've come from what do you say? Adrenaline sport.
Yeah.
Extreme sport. Extreme sport is the word I was looking for. I've done it all, from rollerblading, skateboarding. I think I started skateboarding, did some rollerblading, a little bit of scooter, and then as soon as I got a bike, I was hooked, dirt jumps and all that, and jumped into a mountain bike, like a 24-inch dirt jump mountain bike, single gear, one brake, made for skate parks and dirt jump. And I got pretty into it when I was probably 14 to 18 and got sponsored by a brand, NS Bikes, and was in a couple of magazines back home, Revolution magazine, if anyone knows.
So technically a pro?
I wouldn't say
in
pro.
A sense?
I definitely wasn't paid. I just got handed some stuff. Definitely have to push for that stuff too. I was definitely not on pro levels, but free stuff was always cool, and it helps me get out there.
What made you choose the mountain biking part of it rather than just normal BMX?
Definitely more for dirt stuff, and I felt extremely awkward for some reason, on a little BMX, rock solid BMX. It just always felt unnatural. I'm not sure why, but I love the smaller frame, mountain bike for sure. The suspension, soak it up a little bit, save my wrists.
I've never tried it. I was always into just regular BMX. I wasn't very good at it by any means.
See, I didn't even know that he was into BMX. And straight away, drifter. Into BMX, see?
Yeah.
Told you. Extreme sports, almost every 90% of drifters.
Started with skateboarding. I was really bad at that. And then gave that up, got a kink, it was a Haro at first. And then I traded with the kink and all that. But I was a little bit better at BMX. But cars was definitely my suit.
Yeah.
So, well, how did you transition from bike shit into cars, or was it just getting your license for the first time, or?
I don't know. I feel like I didn't max potential, but I maxed what I wanted to do out of a bike. I think I learned tail whips was an extremely hard one to learn on a mountain bike.
Yeah.
And then backflips and stuff with my mates. We built a what do you call it? A foam pit. They didn't have many back home, and so we got together. We all put our funds together and made one in the backyard of my mate's nan's house.
How much did that cost back then?
I was probably $500. We used all scrap stuff, and
shit.
One of my mate's dads was a builder, so he helped out with all the timber, and then we literally just got do you have scrap when people put their mattresses out on the front and get them picked up?
Oh, dude, I got a story for you. Yeah, absolutely. Not to let's jump back on that, but. Whenever I was a kid, we would ride. We had these trails behind my buddy's neighborhood that had little dirt jumps for BMX bikes and stuff.
Yeah.
We had a buddy in his neighborhood that was tearing down a pool deck. So we took all the wood, and there was these 4 trees that were in a perfect square, and we made a little clubhouse out of all the wood from the pool deck. So absolutely.
So same vibe, just at home. I think they've changed a little bit now, but it used to be certain areas would have their it's called hard rubbish.
Oh, okay.
Everyone puts out things that are just built up, old mattresses, pillows, whatever. And yeah, so we just would grab heaps of the mattresses and like throw the mattresses down the bottom, and then we got like all foam stuff and like chopped it up, put it all on top, and we were all just like slowly like learning, getting the feel of a backflip.
Hell yeah.
We all got it, and then we all took like some mattresses down to the local skate park and went out of like, you know, drop into a bowl and out and put the mattresses on top. And we just like went back to back. Whoever had the most balls would send it first, and it was always like a half commit and throw the bike and land and be like, oh, that actually felt alright. And then the second one, you just like get it, and like, that was easy.
Yeah, just work up to it a little bit.
I was definitely the last one that actually like pulled it off and had the balls to send it. But once I did it, yeah, that was sick. That was so cool. So I got to that point of just doing like flips, tail whips, and 360s, and just riding whatever dirt we could. There's not heaps of dirt at home, like dirt jumps. But yeah, once I got 18, I was like kind of overhurting myself, and like a lot of people were like slowly like getting out of it, or just not being like that motivated. Didn't have the same vibe. I don't know.
Yeah, it wasn't very active.
I just wasn't that G'd like to like send the stuff anymore, like, because you really have to like get yourself in the mood to like throw big tricks. And I just like, I felt like I lost my mojo for it or something. So I was like, as soon as cars came up and the same adrenaline rush started with like burnouts and all that, I was like, oh, well, I'm gonna focus a bit more on this. There was still a transition, like taking the car I'd do burnouts in to like the skate parks and all that, and there was like a bit of a mix there. And slowly, eventually, as everyone was going to work, getting into work and all that sort of stuff, the bike just sat there in the garage for longer and longer until now I got kids. And I'm out and about again.
Yeah, see, like I sold mine almost maybe a couple weeks after I got my first car, and I regret the shit out of that. I wanted to keep it so bad now.
Yep.
So I'm contemplating getting another one. But anyways, so did you always, were you born in Australia or did you move there?
Yeah, born in Australia. Yeah, a few generations, my family in Australia. Dad moved over when he was young. He's got a Portuguese, French background, and mum's a few generations Australian, got English and Scottish in her, so I'm a mad mix. And my wife's even more of a mix, throwing like Croatian and stuff in there.
No way.
My kids are going to have a hard time explaining what their heritage is.
I'm a mutt. I don't know.
Just say Australian. Australian is literally a mix of like European and a bit of everything, so Australian's a good one.
Yeah. Okay. I was just curious about that. But so whenever you got into cars then, did that kind of lead you directly into drifting, or was there like, were you into show cars or anything like that before? Or?
So I guess I can touch on the other car that I brought.
Yeah.
So that car that I brought, if you don't know, I brought a Holden VL. It's a Calais, but it's the same as a Commodore. So Holden VL Commodore Turbo, or more commonly known as a VL Turbo in Australia, or on YouTube. So VL Turbo was my first car. It wasn't turbo, but within 6 months of having my license, I figured out how to turbo and that you could turbo it. I was like obsessed with the flutter dose noise. If you don't know, it's our most watched video on YouTube. It's like hit 1 million views now of changing the sounds of flutters. Like, it's called a dose. So dose pipes. So the noise, you change the different diameters and all that. Most of your video. Anyway, I was obsessed with that and that noise, and just wanted to, I didn't care about the power, I just wanted that noise, and then the power that came with it, and like experiencing all that and doing it all myself was like a really cool thing. But yeah, that got me into cars and just doing burnouts in that car. And after riding it off and getting another one, I found some drifters when I was out one night. Other mountain bikers, funnily enough, or skate park, actually Luke Fink.
Nice.
He was out and about on the streets of Melbourne, and I jumped in one of their cars, and that was it. I was like, I'm getting one of these.
And at that point.
Got an R31 for 600 Australian dollars for a non-turbo RB30 R31 Skyline, and yeah, started learning.
No shit. Was it a wagon too?
It was a sedan.
Oh, it was a sedan.
Yeah, wagon was a later thing. I was like, wagon's a gangster.
Hell yeah.
Let's build one.
Absolutely. 31 was what you started in. How much power was that making at the time? And how simple of a setup was the car?
This is a good one for you, I reckon, because I've seen a lot of your reels come up, and like you like put together little stories of like getting into drift and the ins and outs, the do's and don'ts.
Yep.
And I'm your star student when it comes to getting into drift.
Explain. I'd love to hear.
So I started with the non-turbo, less than 100 horsepower, or probably around 100 horsepower, whatever.
Right.
Just like, minimal power, straight 6, 3 litre, manual, just like all factory stuff. Just weld the diff, like factory suspension, everything, no handbrake, no seat, like nothing. And I just started from that, like try to figure out how to like clutch kick first of all, and then like how to, what the car does when you're snapping, or just did a corner or a roundabout.
Right.
And then, took that, and once I felt good with it, I started with the upgrades. So coilovers were first, I think. Then when I had coilovers and I realised how much the weight would settle you, I realised I need a bucket seat. So I got a cheap ass $50 bucket seat and just figured out how to mount it with like local hardware store, like straight, like flat metal and some bolts.
Dude.
And it worked well. So that was the second. Still had no handbrake, and this is when probably the point where I told you about, where I lost all my points and my license. And had to go to the track.
Were there no events like happening at all at this time? Like there was nothing to go to?
Yeah, it's a good point. There was pretty much no events. The closest track was 3 or 4 hours away.
Holy shit.
At home, nothing local, so it just like, they felt like the only option was to just go out to the street. So I would go to like the industrial estates, like where there's no one around, and they actually got the nice curved gutters there too. So they're not too dangerous, and no one around, nice wide roads, and it felt like a good place to learn. Like I'd go like middle of the night, try and get there like around 11, 12 at night, and session till like 2 or 3 a.m. Go home and go to work the next day.
Wow, man. Fucking cowboy shit. Sorry. Go ahead.
Then the track driving started, so I still stuck NA for a long time. No knuckles, anything like that. Just no handbrake, no knuckles, just seat, coilovers, and non-turbo V6, straight 6 powers, and a welded diff. And it probably did me a good 6 months or so. And then I started playing with the turbo stuff that I learnt, because it's the same motor in the R31 Skyline, the RB30 straight 6, as the Holden VL Turbo, RB30 straight 6. So those skills of putting a turbo on, I transferred over, and this is where the drama started. So I think I still had no handbrake. I think I started like to play with the inline handbrake or something, but trying to go to power with not doing the right methods was interesting. I went through, I think, 8 RB30 engines.
Holy shit.
I became a pro of changing RB30s because tuning wasn't a big thing, or knowing someone, and the price as well.
Yeah.
There was like $50 for an engine, because they're such common cars at home.
God, I wish.
$50 for an RB30 I'd pick up from the like wrecking yard and throw it in. Like I was getting motors out, I reckon, within an hour. Like just smash them out.
Shit.
Get the new one in would take a couple, putting everything on nicely. But I just non-tuned. Like I'd put like the turbo computer in from a Holden VL Turbo.
Gotcha.
Put that in, turbo injectors, and I probably just upped the boost too much, to be honest, on a non-turbo engine, and it would just, like, I was throwing rods or like overheating or whatever.
Just had no idea what you were doing.
Pretty much, I was just like, what's tuning? Probably could have spent some money on a tune and it would have been sweet. But I was just in the moment, like, it was so fun, like, get on track. They were like, they had the session groups, so I was like, I got to make most of this, like, 20 minutes. I just wasn't looking at the temperature gauge. So pro tip, get a temperature gauge. Digital is a good one, so you can see the exact numbers, find out what a too hot temperature is, and don't go over that temperature. Pro tip. But young me, 18 or 19, I was figuring out all that stuff, and I got good at changing engines.
That's a good thing to learn in the beginning. Do you find that it was very important for you to learn with such a simple setup on your car?
I think it is really important. I mean, for me, it was just a cost thing. Like, I'm sure if I had bulk coin, I would have just jumped straight into like a car setup, because you definitely save money jumping straight into a car that's set up. But I guess you lose all those fundamentals of knowing what a car does with the worst setup in the entire world and minimal power.
I feel like it'd make it harder for you in the long run to, I guess,
it kind of does.
learn
like,
the
people pick up
techniques.
bad habits with like the handbrake or the lock or whatever it is. So it's hard to say. Like now with the sim stuff as well, like there was no sims when I got into it. So I feel like with a sim, you can probably jump into a mid-range car and have a bit of an understanding. But I don't know. I think there's just like fundamentals you learn from all the
Yeah,
little
you still
things.
don't get
Like,
the feeling of it anyway.
if you rely on all those extra things, and then one of those things like lets you down for some reason, like if you have to change the stock knuckles if your knuckles break, or if your handbrake stops working and you're like, what do I do?
Yeah.
You know, you just you can work around it knowing what to do without that stuff.
Right. I just find it interesting because especially after riding with you yesterday, the driving style is like vaguely different. Like even I don't remember who exactly it was in front of us, but like we were coming down the long straight and
Like vastly or vaguely? I feel like vaguely isn't much. Vastly is a lot.
Oh, did I say vast?
You said vaguely.
Oh well. Anyway, my bad. Well, we were hauling ass down the straight, and there was a car in front of us, and we. Sorry. We thought he was about to be fucking hauling ass too, but he started slamming on his brakes, and he still initiated into the turn. And it was with the tires that you had set up on it, like there was no way to really keep it sideways behind him with all of that. So. I find it unique seeing people come from other countries, driving completely different. It's nice to be able to pick up on those small little things and how you even got to that point.
Yeah, definitely. And like this track that I mentioned was 3-4 hours away. It wasn't a small track either, so you felt silly rocking up with an NA car. It's kind of like coming out onto this South Carolina. What's the track called? South Carolina Motorsport Park or something?
Carolina Motorsports Park.
Yeah. So coming to a big track like this, like. With your basic ass car with no handbrake or anything, and that's kind of what it was. It's probably not this level of speed, but it's still a fast track. This one, which was our only option. I think like even that in itself, like knowing what speed does and like how you can use it with low power and just making it work, you definitely learn like really good techniques for the whole range of like any car or any track.
Hell yeah, absolutely. So. I guess if someone was going to set up their own car, just for the basic setup you talked about, just coilovers, if that's like the main first thing, no handbrake. I would suggest not a handbrake. Bucket seat, blah, blah, blah. What chassis from the US would you say compares to like an R31 that would be good to start in, or because since you started in R31?
Yeah. It's a good question. I never thought about it, but the first one that popped into my head has to be an E36, I'd say.
That's becoming a very popular answer.
Yeah.
And why? So okay, before you go on that, E36 versus the E46. Why would you choose the E36?
I don't know anything about BMWs. I gotta firstly say.
Fair.
The first time I drove one was Hertz.
Me too.
Was Hertz at Nappy Boy event.
Gotcha.
That was the first time jumping in one, and it was left-hand drive. Probably my first. I think that was one of my first times left-hand drive.
You're all
by
twisted
car as
around.
Well. And it was great. Like it felt like it handled very similar to this. Like that had no power, ghetto handbrake setup. Like just had the basic stuff, like little like modified knuckles and all that. And yeah, felt really similar to this kind of car. It just works and does its thing and has really good like weight distribution. Yeah, good car.
Huh. Always find.
Got to point out I hate 350Zs.
Yeah.
Just because, just the look. It's just a look. Everything about it is like perfect.
Dude, I agree, bro. I say it all the time. 350Zs are hideous. I truthfully wish I would have left my car alone, left it VQ, and taken that swap and done it in a G35 sedan.
True.
I'm a big sedan guy. I 100%. Love them.
I don't know if you noticed, but every car I've got is a sedan.
Yep. Oh, yeah. The 32 sedan I've drilled over plenty of times. That's probably like your cheapest car, too, right?
Yeah, I think it is, yeah. Yeah, it's funny. Actually, no, we've got some AU Falcons, which is the popular car back home. That's the E36 of home. And we've got E36s too, but the AU Falcons are just that like one step down in price, but do all the right things, have like strong components.
They look like a Ford Focus to me. Like the old
similar.
Ford Focus.
Yeah, I think Ford Taurus is the closest looking car.
Yes, yeah, okay. But should have made those rear wheel drive.
But yeah, 350Z stuff. They do everything. Like they're probably the best car to get into and learn to drift, but the look and the sound just doesn't do it for me. I just can't.
Mouse.
I avoid driving them at all costs. At least yours has RB now.
Yeah, you drove mine yesterday.
Not the best working RB, but it's an RB.
Sadly, yeah. We're getting there. Thanks to Injuku, we're gonna get there.
You get there.
Okay, so I guess let's branch off of that. When did all of this lead you into YouTube? Did YouTube solely for Keep It Reet?
It's funny, I could never see myself like early days of YouTube, like I met LZ, like I didn't know who he was, and Luke Fink brought him over.
Fink said
and
the
I was
same
like,
thing,
who is
yeah.
this guy? Why is everyone so hyped about this guy coming over to Australia? Like, what is this? Like, I had no idea. I looked him up, and I was like, okay, yeah, just like YouTube, like used to BMX, like that's cool. And then yeah, like I bumped into him. I met him at one of the events, and Luke had just started vlogging, and then they're both doing it, and they're holding the camera and all that in their face, and I'm like, that is so freaking awkward. I could never picture myself doing that. I was like, I cannot do that. I'm gonna avoid trying to do that. And then as soon as I started Keep a Reet and it became a full-time thing, I was like, I'm building cars, I'm doing everything, like it makes so much sense to start doing this. So instead of doing it in front of people, I just started by myself, like building a car in a mate's workshop and filming it. And yeah, started learning all the basics of YouTube, and that's where it basically started. I was like, it makes sense. Like I can't not do this. It's going to be a little extra like income and exposure. It aligned too well to not do it. So
makes all
got thrown in the deep
sense.
end there.
Yeah, and especially now, like you hopped in it at the correct time, I would say, or probably at the very end of the right time to get into it, because now
there's never a wrong time. It's definitely a hard one.
Agreed.
I mean,
that's why I did
20
this
years
to kind
ago,
of prove
if you got
still
into
can.
15, 20 years ago would have been prime time. That's probably like the full early days of YouTube. That's like Mr. Beast starting time. If you did that, you're nailing it. But it's definitely harder to get into. But it's all about, like, I still don't even focus on it. Like, I was never in it for getting money out of it.
Right.
And I still,
It's just promotion.
It's just promotion,
basically.
yeah. And it's the best promotion out there. Like, it doesn't matter how big you are, if you're getting like 300 to 500 views, there's still so many people that will see like little snippets like from your content or whatever, and like as long as that's one person, they'll talk to another person, whatever. Like it just spreads. Like it's crazy how many people come up, and like, you know, I don't have a big following here in the States, and like people coming up and you're like, oh, I saw that, you know, video of the dose pipes, or our quad turbo, or whatever stupid stuff we do that goes viral, or even some of the small videos like I'm building a car and I saw this little trick you did and that was sick. I do it. Like it's really cool when people come up.
What's one car that you've built on the channel that has more of a sentimental value to you?
It's definitely the wagon is number one for sure. Yeah. None of the other cars I care about, honestly.
Yeah, it's just write off.
Yeah,
write them off if I need to.
Yeah, whatever. Like, we throw them to guests. Like, we build them just for the build, and like it's all like trial and error for me. Like, see what things do. Like trying different combos.
It's a lot of rinse
trying
and
different
repeat.
styles, like paint and body kits and whatever. I'm always trying to do something different. I feel that's the most fun part. Like, let's see like what this does. Like, no one's done it. Let's do it.
Bring your inner childhood out.
Yeah, it's the best, and especially when you got a crew, people that are interested in the same thing. So nah, I don't. Yeah. I try not to get sentimental about things, because there always comes a time where either it's going to get crashed, destroyed, something will happen, or like...
Big problem for me.
I don't know, yeah. Or you're going to sell it for some reason. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not that way. I wish I was. I'm trying.
Because you're gonna build a car, especially when it's drifting. If you want to progress, you have to be running into people, basically. So it's gonna happen.
Oh yeah.
Can't care about it too much.
Gotta buy another car. That's what it is. Okay, so I know you mentioned Keep It Reet started by just kind of getting some homies out on track, but why did you decide to carry it on from that? Like, what did you see in
from
it?
the start, the first event?
Yeah. Because it like you said, it was just to get some people on track. Like it was just to have some seat time, right?
Like through my whole journey of drifting and getting on the track, seeing different events, styles, what people do, how they run them, like with their groups, everything else.
Yeah.
Then going to Japan and learning all these like awesome skills of like doing back-to-back, day after day, and like it's a complete culture change. Like when you go to Japan, and it's the like open track, just go out. There's no one really flagging or marshalling. You're just like, okay, I got to pick when I go out. Like you got to start using your brain a little bit, and like common sense, and everything comes into play. And then the driving as well, of like, you know, back to back, you know, the courtesy of leaded chase. Like if you let someone out, you go front, behind. Don't go with multiple cars, or someone's gonna get like destroyed at the back. Like I call it the death gap. If you go, there's 2 cars in front, 2 or 3 cars or whatever in front, and then you're roaming back like 3 car lengths behind. That if something goes down, you got no time. So things like that.
You're gonna be coming in the hottest too.
That's it. You're coming in hot. There's no getting out of it. So all this stuff, I basically took back home and put it into that first event, which is no groups, just like chillax, like flagging and all that. It's like very straight down the line of like, you know, just go out and keep your distance, take it easy, ease into it, make sure you check your car properly, like, and like talk to the people you're going out with, like no ego, no bullshit, just good times, good vibes, like we're all here for the same reason. That's basically like, we say that exact thing in every driver's briefing. Yeah. It's like, yeah. And then it just seems to work, like it flows, no one seems to crash. Everyone's just going out, like they create their own flow basically. Like sometimes we'll have a start line when there's a lot of cars, or the start of a night, we'll get the start line flowing to like put the slower cars together or create good gaps for the faster cars or whatever, that sort of stuff. But once they're good, then you can just pick it. Like, you know, faster cars will jump in with a slower car, like when their tires are dead or whatever, and they'll just sort themselves out. They know what, like after everyone's seeing each other on track, they know how they drive and who you can trust, and it just works so well, and it flows, and everyone leaves with a smile on their face. So I carried that on from our private days into our public days, and the biggest thing I saw in Drift 2 was like night vibe for drifting is just like something different. Like once again, like Ebisu Matsuri, the nighttime, like it's just like the dynamic changes, the vibe changes, and like if I don't know, it's just different. Like in the car, you feel like you're going faster. Like the adrenaline like picks up more. I don't know. It's really cool. So I took that. We run Friday night drifts. It's called once a month, and we've got like a DJ, like food trucks, like show and shine, and then 30 to 50 drivers out there with the open track. Just go and have fun and blaze some tires, throw people in the cars, and we do like a ride with a pro thing, like, you know, hot laps. To get new people into it, and everyone just comes down. We get like a few thousand people each event.
That's crazy.
It's just a vibe. Like everyone loves it.
Hell yeah. Do you think it's more important to kind of cater to the drivers in an event like that, or more towards the spectators?
I think it starts with the drivers and getting that like down pat of like a good drift day, and then moving it into a show. Like, and then you can incorporate little things like it's like a halftime show of like fireworks here, or like motocross, or like things to entertain, like music, you know, food trucks, show and shine, just little things for a crowd. But it definitely has to revolve around the drivers, like keeping them happy. Otherwise, you're not going to have a show at the end of the day.
That's true.
But then you can throw in like a few pro cars, but I always make sure I look after the pro drivers, like paying them for the rides and free entry and everything else. At the end of the day, they're the main show. Like everyone wants to see the fast, like blazing tire guys out there.
Yeah, of course.
So I feel that was a big thing.
Is that very common for event hosts to be like, for all the bigger guys or more pro car style stuff, are getting paid out in some sort of way just to compensate them a little bit better?
Another thing that I copped, like the being the driver side of it. I offered that a lot to events because I wanted to, like, it was my way of like cutting costs. Like, if you can give me free entry, I'll do a ride thing, and I'd bring like scrap tires and take people out on little sessions, and I'd get heaps of track time, and I'd be able to cut laps. And sometimes we'd work a deal where I'd get like, you know, a little cut from the ride.
That's sick.
And I'd just go back into the tire kitty later, and it was a good little thing. So from that, learning, and like sometimes like people coming in and like not paying or whatever, I was just getting like both sides of it. Like, I definitely understood like not getting paid, because like whatever, it is what it is.
You gotta earn
like
that
some people
shit.
always are like that, but for me it was like, okay, if I'm gonna like at a top level with a top car, it costs so much to run, and
that's a lot of money just to get it there.
Sometimes you don't want to just take it out to like a thrash night, like it's too expensive, and it takes away. So if you can get a little bit of money back, it's like, sick. I'll go to a thrash night if I can get in for free. And
just for like a little understanding, I'm on the lower scale of that, like very lower scale. You have a dually, so diesel truck, a lot of maintenance there, big ass trailer. I don't have that. I got to open enclosed, so I can't fit hardly anything. So like there's so much more extra shit on top of the car that's coming with you and has to be managed, and you got a family, all this stuff. So everybody that has a car relatively close to that is going to be in a circumstance like that. So
100%.
I know people are bitching in the comments about that. That's why I want to clarify some shit.
About what?
Just because like people shouldn't get paid, blah blah blah. None of us get paid. Americans are fucking greedy assholes.
I think
like
at the end of the day, if someone's paying for a ride, like, and you're giving the experience, why shouldn't you get a cut? I'm all for the promoter. Like, you know, I'm the promoter at home. We take our cut because we're doing the service. We're paying staff to put people in the cars. We're taking the payment. We've got to pay tax, whatever. Yeah. We're doing the, you know, everything else and putting on the event, and there's a lot of cost putting on an event, obviously. So you take that cost, but then at the same time, even if you have to put up the price of the ride, just to be able to give some money back to the driver to cover their tires, fuel, and not pay entry, it just makes
them
sense.
happy and they come back.
Yeah, that's it. They come back.
Oh yeah. Back to the event stuff. You mentioned the LZ World Tour and all that. How was running that event?
It was insane. It was hard because we've run so many events of our own. It was a big learning curve for myself and our team, because we wanted to like over deliver and like make it as big as possible and like do all these extra little things. It was all that extra little stuff that like definitely took its toll, and like trying to meet all those things, like so many little extra things. It made it crazy. And then just lots of little new things that we tried at the same time.
What were some
and then trying to run it through other parties as well, like collaborating on it too. When it's not just your call, you got to run it through other people, and then they got their input and everything else. It's definitely a big learning curve, but stoked that we pulled it off, and it looked great from the outside for sure.
Hell yeah! What were some of the little things that, or I guess what was the biggest thing that
What's that?
What was the biggest thing that brought a headache to the entire event? Or I guess held things up.
Yeah, it's a good question. I don't know. It's a little while.
Because it seemed like it went pretty smooth. It looked like a really good event.
I think all the main fundamentals definitely were down. I think it was honestly because it was so crammed. A lot felt last minute because of all the little things. There was so much done, and at the exact same time we were doing our new factory build and trying to make that all spicy, plus building all the guest cars with like fresh paint, fresh wraps. There was just so many little things. That's what I mean. All that stuff at once, like moving factories, running this big event, all the new cars. I think it just came down to, honestly, like everyone being worn out and then the communication like coming into it. So everyone's like running around like a headless chook at the event, trying to like figure out like, oh, why is this going wrong? What's going on there? Oh, this isn't covered. Like it was just little things. But like for a promoter and like event organizer that's like, we've run a lot of events very smoothly, and only having little things, like it gets my OCD cranking, and it like makes me feel like the world's ending when it's little things going on. So I think it's just that, like it was just definitely a big learning curve. So I think like if we do something like that again, like big collaboration style event, we'll try to set like a bit more like rules and boundaries in place to make it a bit more straightforward, and then just trying not to over deliver, just make it very clean and like straightforward.
Hit the mark.
Like and try and not build 5 cars and a factory at the same time. Probably a good idea as well.
Yeah, I'd definitely say so. Why did y'all end up going into the new shop too, by the way?
It's always been a dream and a goal because we were just renting the old shop. Funnily enough, so the first factory, like when we first started, so I got that factory after having probably maybe 3 or 4 successful public events with like a good crowd. Okay. And I quit my daytime job, which was a cabinet maker, like making kitchens and stuff. Nice, yeah. Quit that, off the tools, started the YouTube and just like putting more effort into the events and doing a monthly. And so I started with one factory and just building cars and doing YouTube and storing event stuff. And as we grew, funnily enough, like COVID like was coming and came, and at the same time my get through COVID idea was car giveaways. So that got us through. So one of the first car I built, I did a giveaway. It was very like all low budget and low marketing spend, everything else. It was just to keep money coming in to pay for the factory's overheads. And I did well, and I just kept that flowing, putting the money back in to get better cars and go bigger. And back to the factories, there was a lot of 6 in the one thing. I had 1, so 6 small factories. From that, I expanded to have storage. I got 2, and then eventually had 3 to 4 of them out of the 6 within a few years, I think. Because we just kept on stepping up the giveaways, the events were cranking. Obviously not when COVID hit, but then and the team was growing, so we had offices and stuff, and then probably having that set up for a couple of years led to like putting some money aside and being like, I don't want to be renting a factory. It's a goal to actually own the factory and like pay off my own factory instead of someone else's. So It just so happened to be it was around the same time.
Yeah. Well, congrats for one.
Thank you.
It's a good accomplishment.
It just looks like cleaner having your own. Like happy to put the time and effort and money into doing the floors, walls, some proper signage.
It was mesmerizing. For all the influencers that went up and like actually came to the shop, I watched every single video just to keep re-seeing the shop in different perspectives.
Cool. Yeah, it's definitely stoked how it all came out, and huge achievement. It's hard because it kind of got drowned out with all the other stuff and the busyness, which is hard. So like after it all went down and like taking a step back after is definitely cool to look back, and like even now being in the States and the team just like it's definitely a dynamic change. Like just having their own space and nice clean their own. Yeah, it changes the dynamic of working and
lets everybody do their job a little bit better.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Okay, well, you mentioned giveaways and stuff. That always seems to be kind of a hot topic for influencers or YouTubers, whatever. Why, or not why, I guess, how do the giveaways work in Australia? Because I know there's a lot of hoops to jump through here as well, just to even do the giveaways.
Definitely. There's always the ins and outs, but for us, we were like, I think the second company to do like giveaways in Australia.
Okay.
And yeah, the idea came from, first COVID and me not wanting to go back on the tools.
Of course.
And not being able to run events. So, and having a good following, I was like, yeah, let's just give it a go. And so I found out how it all worked, which was basically you're like getting into the draw for free, buying a product, and that gives you a certain amount of entries into winning the car, and those entries are free. So it's called a trade promotion.
Do you have to hire an agency to run it all?
Not in Australia, no. We've got teams that are running our stuff, our team obviously mainly, and then external marketing.
Gotcha, okay.
But majority is all in-house. From building the car, sourcing, we've got the tow truck to deliver to the winners, picking up new cars when they're out. Definitely a process now, but when we started it was very basic, I was just getting local cars. But yeah, that's the basics really, it's promoting your business.
That's cool. There's so much bullshit to go through here.
Yeah.
You have to pay an agency, $5-6 grand or something just to do any type of raffle or giveaway.
Yeah, it's more just, nuts. I think it's more just covering the bases of the make sure. Sorry, that's the one I missed. Licenses and and all that. Sorry, that's not the big point. You still need. Sorry, the legal side. You need to have permits for each state in Australia, and the same thing here. Whatever state you're working out of, you need to have the permits and the licensing and pay your bonds and whatever else. It's different here, but it's much the same.
It's
getting a free entry into a car, promoting a business, and giving someone the chance to win a car, for free.
Yeah, fair. What was your favorite giveaway car that you've done so far?
It's a hard question. We've done so many.
I know you don't get
and it comes back to not getting attached. We've done some insane cars. We did a 1,500 horsepower, 1,000 kilowatt R32 GTR RB.
I remember that one.
I don't know if it was a 2.8 litre. I feel like it was a 2.8 litre. Big turbo, big cam, sequential gearbox. It's not my favourite car, but it's the most insane car we've probably given away. 1,000 kilowatt, 1,500 horsepower.
Yeah, that's nuts.
It's just that figure is mind blowing. I feel for a lot of people. You have to have the right combo and everything for that to work. And it's another ball game and feeling something like that all-wheel drive.
How does someone that just wins something like that even take care of it?
Well, yeah, we definitely make sure, because I know the people that are entering could be not even into cars. They just like the look or whatever, or sound, or the 1,000
or they bought a shirt just because they
kilowatt.
wanted the shirt, and then they won a fucking car and didn't even know.
That's right. So we make sure we drop it right down. We pulled the gate springs out, so it could hit almost no boost.
Oh, okay.
And we're here's the stuff if you want to put it back, but just take care. And
that's fair. Okay, I've always wondered about that.
If you don't want it, you can sell it, or we can buy it back. We don't tend to do that too much because it looks dodgy, but we don't do cash options. It's if you want to win and win a car, enter.
Yeah. Is there one circumstance of doing a giveaway where it meant a lot more to you based off of whether it was the reaction or however the circumstance of them winning the car was?
Yeah. another good question. Something I don't think about too much, but the one that pops into my head that stands out is the first time we did an R34 GTR. That was a big goal for that year, I think it was. I was like, I really want to like make a 34 GTR happen, and someone that messaged us like worked with us and gave us a really good deal on one that he'd had for years, and he happened to buy the car before the prices were crazy, so he was happy just to have like a no like bullshit sale, basically, like a straightforward transaction.
Easy.
Of selling the car to someone, and and he wanted to see the car go up as a giveaway, and someone having the chance to win it for like a low price and all that. So that was definitely a huge like milestone, or whatever. It was cool to make that happen, and it was it wasn't a stock one either. It was a I can't remember how much it made. What did it make? I feel like it was like a 600 horsepower one or something. Like it was. It had like a brand new gearbox. It had like the single turbo. Like it was sick. Sounded amazing. Yeah, really cool car.
Okay, well, since we're talking about the giveaways, I gotta ask. The recent one that happened with all the bullshit that the internet's bringing up, I know it's a load of shit, for one.
Dramies.
Yeah, but what is your perspective as the one running the giveaway, since nobody ever wants to put that in the light of day? How do you feel about stuff like that, and how do you feel that influencers get that type of negativity?
Yeah, it's hard. Honestly, it hurts. And luckily I've dealt with a lot of this stuff before, so I've got pretty thick skin.
Right.
So I just can't kind of brush it off. But yeah, like to explain what happened, we purchased a car off someone, the same as like we purchased the 34, and we drew the car, and just so happened to be the person that won was the person that sold it to us, girlfriend. And so there's we've covered everything in our like terms and conditions and regs. And legally it was all above board, so there's nothing we could do. We couldn't just be like, we're going to redraw it, because I'm sure everyone wants to see that, but at the same time, like they won fair and square. Like it was just luck of the draw. Like I literally woke up to it. They drew it when I was asleep. I woke up and I see 1,000 messages like, "Oh, what's going on here?" Well, I don't know. Like it's just literally luck of the draw.
I was asleep, dude. What do you mean?
I woke up and was like, and the boys are like, oh shit, because they didn't know. They just drew the name, and it wasn't obviously like the same surname as the person we sold it to or anything. So they just drew, and they called the winner and like, congrats, what are you going to do with the car? Like, have you ever had one of these or whatever? And it was like a mass awkward like conversation, and everyone's like, oh, it's just set up. Like, this is so awkward. The conversation must be set up. They're acting. But no, they just didn't.
What would you expect if you got that phone call? Hey, you won a car that you just sold me.
Yeah.
That's fucking weird.
Yeah, so they had awkward answers. I don't know if they thought it was a stitch up too or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's definitely full on. Like we got contacted by local news and stuff to like do a story and all that. We had to reach out to like a PR person to try and like
how do you deal with the damage control on that?
Yeah, I guess it was just like we had like a few responses to get back to people and whatnot. I tried to not like open my mouth, because it definitely like gets to me, because we're doing everything above board, and then for people to like talk shit like we've been dodgy the whole time or something. It's like all the warriors come out and like throw out all their hate comments. It's like, oh, it's now my time. This comment I've been holding on, I can let out because everyone else is. And it definitely hurts. Like when we've been doing it legit, we've done 150 cars over the last 4 years, and like we're not just going to throw it all away on an S13. But people just don't see that. They like to see the bad, and they want to see someone taken down. It's just like they're
just butthurt they didn't win.
I ignored it, brushed it off, just didn't pay too much attention to it. Knew it would go away, and it did. It just is what it is. But now we've thrown in our terms that your partners can't win the car, because we definitely don't like it. It doesn't look good. That's not the way. I mean, stoked for the winners, honestly. Like, how cool is that to be able to sell your car? Like, people sell their cars for whatever reason, dude. Like if they're in financial troubles. So, if they're them to sell it, then throw, a few $100 or whatever on entries, and to win your car back is like the dream. So
absolutely,
you just got to be stoked for them, really. At the end of the day, like as dodgy as it may look, it's just
you got more chances of getting struck by lightning probably than that ever happening again.
Yeah. At the end of the day, everything happens for a reason. I always say so. whatever, whether it was the bad publicity put us in the limelight of the news or whatever, and I don't know, like, who knows? And for them, the same thing, like, something might have happened for them and they had to sell the car and they got it back, like, stoked for them, so whatever, it is what it is.
People's lives are better. That's all I see. Okay, so I wanted to bring up, we talked a little bit about FD and Drift Masters and stuff off camera yesterday. What is your opinion on FD and how they run events, since you're an event host as well, and especially with the changes that they have made for this year?
I love how you like digging up the FD goss, don't you? It's the worst event in the world. I hate it.
Dude, I don't think it's that great. I'm not an FD fan, for more or less for people that are trying to do it for career type
Honestly,
stuff, but just your opinion overall on FD.
Honestly, I don't have like valid opinion, to be honest, because I don't follow it like deeply. Like, I don't watch it in and out. I'm not like a number one fan. Like, I love drifting and I love running events and I love having fun with the sport, and you know, we do our own competitions and everything else, and I just, at the end of the day, like, it always comes down to how the driver, like, if they're enjoying it and if the crowd's enjoying it. So that's what I revolve the events around, no matter what, and it's proven to, you know, work, more or less.
Actually, you just said that a minute ago. We were talking about Drift Appalachia and stuff, and you were saying how you would much prefer the spectation to be surrounding everything rather than...
It's just the vibe, like, overall. Like, one thing I was thinking about, like, I mean, I honestly can't comment on FD, like,
that's fine.
It's like the pinnacle, obviously, like, you know, it's the top tier. Like, I'd love to drive it, but like the ins and outs to get into it seems like way too much of a pain in the ass for me. That's why I'm just revolving around events that like just have good spectator, like lots of different people, different crowds, different drivers. Like, like, my main focus of being here is to get the name out at the end of the day, and as much as I'm sure it would be getting my name out in FD Pro Sport, I can't see like a huge gain for me for the amount that it would cost. So that's my only input on that. And as for the rules changes, I got zero idea what they changed, but it looks like the first round went great. Like, it was cool to see the people.
The biggest thing was no qualifying anymore.
I thought, like, I don't follow that like deeply, like so deeply, that I thought that first podium was the actual podium for the event.
That tripped me out too. Even though
I was like, good work, Adam. Sent him a message, like, killed it. You're driving, nailed it. Like, that was sick. You're on one. And then I see him like next day. Oh shit.
You weren't done. Fuck. Sorry.
It is what it is. Like, but it's definitely cool. Like our system that we do back home for our battle royale, like we did it last few years, is a round robin style with no qualifying, just battles. And it's great. You always get the best drivers, I've always found. But so I don't know exactly what they did, but it seems like they did something similar. It's just more battles, but it always comes down to, as a spectator, what you can watch, and if you're bringing spectators in to pay for the event too, and like, you know, keep the sponsors happy. There's so many things with a competition, like screen time, like, you know, if it's live, and you know how it looks, and there's so many things to like take into consideration. But at the end of the day, first thing is like keeping the drivers happy, making it as fair as possible. Like, judging is a pain in the ass to get right. Like, if anyone's judged themselves, like I've sat in the judging seat and it's so hard. Like, you're just seeing what you see. Sometimes you miss things, whatever. Like, but you've made the call. It is what it is. It's like extremely tough part of the sport. But then the next part of it is, as a spectator, like, if it's boring, it's for a reason. There's something boring, something's taking too long, whatever. Like downtime, all that, like, you got to take into consideration. It's really hard with live, and if you've got TV and whatever involved. The next thing, if it's exciting for a reason. So, like, try and do more of that. Like, if the battles are closer for a reason, like, try to do more of that. And I don't know, like, if the spectators are upset for a reason, then there's a reason too. Like, so you always got to look into what the spectator sees, because, like, as a driver, you see things a certain way. But if the spectators are like, oh, why did that call happen, or like, oh, that guy should have won, or that was so exciting,
well, let me
they
ask
want to
you
see
this
it again.
then, because I say it on the podcast a lot. Rob Dyrdek, back in the day, set out basically a number system of points per trick, almost.
Okay.
So I've always wondered if it was a possibility to make it to where there's a point system that directly correlates to the way you drive in tandem for competition and stuff like that. And it can mediate by a few points or so, depending on how much angle or how much style or whatever the circumstance is.
100%.
I feel like that would give more opportunity for the spectators to be more involved and drivers to understand what calls would be coming when it happens. Do you think that is something that's feasible at all?
Extremely hard. So I think there's only one outcome, which I know the guy that's working on it at the moment.
Oh.
But there's a few variations that I know in the past where it's happened, something like that. Number one is the Mad Mike drift shifters thing they did. So it was all point system, sensors and stuff. But that's, I don't know if, I think they did do tandem, but I don't know how they did like sensors between the cars. But they did like outer clipping sensors and like filling zone sensors. So you get
that's
like
cool,
technical points. But it always comes down to like rigging a system, like because a lot of the stuff like in Japan with I think it's, is it D1, whatever the top one is, they use like boxes in the car that sense like snappy transition, speed, angle, how close you are to people. And there was like, times where you could like rig it a bit to like give you more points. You'd be like, hang on, that run looked really weird. He was just going like weirdly fast there and straight.
Some magnetized
and then
shit
snap to big
something.
angle and slow down awkwardly. And they get like 99 points. You're like, okay, well he clearly knows what's going on. But like that's rigging it for not what actually looks best. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You still kind of have to have that human input on top of it as well. You just run it all through an algorithm and spit it out.
So that's a couple of examples of that. The next one would be where it, like the spectator has no idea, which is what we ran with the round robin, and we would do like a rerun based system where it's each judge has a certain amount of points. So you just like you see what you see, you go out of 10. So it's like lead got 7 out of 10, chase got 5 out of 10. Add it together,
gotcha,
or whatever, like from lead and chase. So the lead got 5 out of 10, their chase got 7 out of 10. You got I can't do maths. They got 12 points, and the other one got this amount of points, and we did a thing. So driver 1 got 12, driver 2 got 15, like total points for their runs, lead and chase. And we're like, okay, if it's within 3, it's a rerun.
Shit.
If it's more than 3, then there's a clear winner, and no discussions. So within 3, it's rerun no matter what. Like when you add the 3 judges, or we could even do 2 judges.
Yeah.
And that was it. Like, yeah, that's just what I wrote in the regs, and that's what we worked off, and it seemed to work really well. Sometimes there's like a lot of reruns, but you just, like as a driver, you want a clear decision.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it definitely works well, but then flip it to the spectator thing. There's just like never-ending battles. It's hard to know who won or lost or why. It's like as a driver, it's like sweet. But yeah, spectator, it gets confusing and painful. So yeah, I did see there's one thing that, like I don't know exactly what happened, but it was something to do with like a rule when it comes into play, something to just keep the comp moving, which is I think is a big Drift Masters thing, like no 5-minute rules and whatever. Yeah. Like it's all for the show at the end of the day, and unfortunately you just got to suck it up. Like it's always a fine balance. It's either going to drag out and you're going to get the definite winner from the day's best driver, or it's going to be a balance of like car that's going to be reliable and make it all the way through, or like things that happen from like getting hit, or something happens, and it's such a hard balance of like it making sense for everyone at the end of the day. I don't know.
Do you ever see yourself jumping into, because you like competition stuff, so you ever going to jump into Drift Masters or FD or any of these?
One day I'd love to. It's definitely like a goal, but it just has to make sense. Like the same as like starting the journey with an NA car and taking the steps that it takes. I feel like, even just being here is the step right now. I just got to focus on that, making sense and growing the business. As soon as I have the bank to build the cars and send them wherever, like we're building another wagon right now for potentially to send it to Europe.
No shit.
But I got no idea. I know there's other guys doing the same thing. Like I'd love to do Drift Masters. It looks like a sick time, but I also know how tough it is and how dialed you have to have your car. Like I just sent this car to D1NZ and had issues the entire time, and I learned something new as well, which is coming into new judges, new tracks. Like there's so many things you got to like, and especially when you've got like maximum, say, potential of only having like 5 to 6 practice runs before the actual competition. If you don't know the track, if you haven't done it for a few seasons and you come into that and for some reason like someone like drops oil and you lose 3 of your 6 laps, I've had that. And it's just like, okay, well I got to try and figure this out and not have any car issues and whatever else. And then you get knocked out and you just spent like 20 grand on making that one round or whatever. It's definitely hard. So I know you have to be ready, and and got the budget, got the sponsors, got the support, got the car, got the mindset that your first season in is probably going to be shit house. There's always the chance it's going to be good, but you got to be ready. So I'm definitely not committing to any of that until I know it's the right thing to do.
Oh, you want to say how far off you think you might be? How many years?
No idea. No idea. This podcast could blow
I tried.
up. This podcast could blow up. And
you never know.
I could be a millionaire next week.
Hit the like button, drop a comment.
But no idea. At the same time, like, I honestly have more fun at the local grassroots comps and the things where you can hang out with mates, like the LZ tours. You just get back-to-back laps. You can dial your line. You can like just run doors with mates. Like, I'm down for that stuff at the moment. I'm all for it.
That's where my heart is.
But at the same time, I'm hugely competitive and want to like show my stuff and want to get out in front of like, you know, the world stage as well, like at the top level, proper, like, you know, it's like F1, making it to F1.
Yeah.
You know, I want to take it as far as I can and see what I can do. But I just want to be fully prepared and like not feel upset about it. Like, I don't want to like come in and do one season and then be run out of money and be like, I can't ever do it again.
Yeah.
Wasted it. I want to be able to like come into it and I hopefully do like a few seasons or something. So
yeah.
No idea, but yeah, everyone can dream.
Yeah. You'll just have to follow them and keep along.
We made it this far. I'm here in the state. This is a dream for a lot of people, and it's amazing to be here. But the amount of effort and like stuff in the background and getting set up and all the new things, and it's crazy. Like, you don't see any of that stuff.
Oh no, not at all. Hell yeah. Well, I guess where else are you kind of headed while you're here in the U.S.? What's the next couple stops?
So it looks like LZ Canada. Hopefully either Drift Appalachia or E-Town Gambler. Okay. And then it looks like I've locked in for final bout. I think they call it like the East or something. I think it's in what's the track called?
Special Stage East. It's in
something like that.
Is that the US Air track?
Yes, that's
okay.
One.
Yeah,
I think that's. Yeah. So I want to try to do that.
That's the track for final bout.
Yeah. Sick. Yeah, okay. So gonna get to that one. I don't have a team or anything, but it looks like I'm just gonna be doing like some solo stuff and
no shit.
Just thrash with the boys. So yeah,
man,
keen.
Final bout's the dream for me.
Yeah, that's something that I see from Australia, and like it's like, you know, the hot boys and all that stuff. Like, I'm always down. It's not entirely my scene, but it's always cool. I'm just down to drift and meet new people. So I'm all for it. And yeah, I hang. Hopefully the like Jimmy Oaks and all that. Those guys, the Front Street team are really cool. So hopefully if they're going, hang out. But
if you can get a hold of them, his ass.
Good luck.
Actually, one more thing I wanted to ask about the competition stuff. Do you find that competition events are more valuable as far as deliverables rather than more grassroots events like this, like bigger grassroots events?
It's extremely hard to say. It's so hard to like measure that.
Obviously, it's going to be, you know, based off of the different companies and shit. They're going to want what they want. But, like, just over the average, what seems to be more appealing.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. Like, sponsors definitely want to see competition and results, weirdly. But the biggest thing is YouTube and, like, being at these events, honestly. Like, you get seen by so many different people, new people, like, there's brands, like, at things like this.
Yeah.
And then the content that you come up with after is what gets the views and gets the names and brands out there. But yeah, I don't know. It's such a hard one. I honestly don't think it really matters. Like for the drift competition, honestly, more people will watch something if you come dead last and like flip your car, versus coming third or something.
Luke Fink.
They'll always get down. Like just big sick driving. People want to watch, or they want to see your journey if you come first. So like, you know, which is not.
That's true. Yeah.
Every freaking competition.
Yeah, the underdog story type deal.
Yeah, it's a hard one. It's definitely hard to weigh up, but it all comes down to what you enjoy at the end of the day. Like, I love competing, and I want to compete as much as I can, but at the same time, I love meeting new people, thrashing new tracks, and seeing what I can do, like, even by myself or whatever.
Hell yeah. Okay. I was just curious, because everyone seems to have a different opinion on that, but I tend to branch more towards the grassroots stuff.
You're always going to get big exposure. Like, you're talking about exposure, like even like LZ Tour, I guess, for example. Like, obviously, it's going to be extremely hard to get on that field, but if you do, that's like some really good exposure to that audience. Or if you're like, you know, if it's like corporate, like FD style, like, you're going to make the big corporate boys happy, like being out there, showing off their brand, wearing your nice race suit and having your car all cut and polished and shiny and
Yeah.
whatever. You know, there's an audience for everything. It just depends what you want to do and focus on.
Hell
and
yeah.
Waste your money on.
Well, whenever you finally do go into your big competition stuff, what car do you think you will build?
I want it to be a wagon.
Wagon.
Oh, it's so proven. It's so proven.
Might
I
as
just got to
well.
get it
That's
to
what
pass
you know.
regs. Like, this is pretty close to passing regs, honestly. So yeah, no, I'm all for the different chassis. Like, I've just proven this car, so I don't want to be like just another S15 or whatever.
Right,
Or
right.
2J S15 Wisepap.
Hell yeah.
I want to be stand out. I want to come last, standing out.
yeah. Exploding tires, debeating.
You would throwing backies for no reason, even though they get 0 points.
Hell yeah. Okay, so I do a few questions at the end of every podcast. This one usually is like when you get a bone stock car, you get $3,000 to spend on it, blah, blah, blah. But since you drove my car yesterday, I'm going to spin it around a little bit.
True.
So if I gave you $5,000 to spend on my car at Njuku, what would you buy for my car to improve it?
For your
Obviously,
car?
yeah, for my car.
For your car.
Yeah.
100% a tune. I don't know if Njuku sell tunes. You're going to have to...
Not for that damn thing.
Fresh turbo for sure. I feel like it needs a backstory because I drove your car and
Yeah, so, yeah, all right. Well, just a short summary of the story. Even at Mid-Pond, I was dealing with a bunch of boost issues. It's not building, well, it's building the boost. It's just not kind of holding it, in a sense, whenever you light it off. So this is my first
this
turbo
guy's
car,
learning.
too. So
He's going on the deep end with the engine swap.
Yeah.
And you're learning all the ins and outs. You're kind of like the OG me, like throwing turbos on motors. I don't know what's going to happen if I don't tune it.
Yep.
Yeah, so you gotta find out this stuff. But I've given you some pro tips, so hopefully you take them. Number one, probably changing that turbo, because I know RBs need a good turbo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I talked about a 3076 from Garrett.
You just need to talk to as many people as possible and find out for your application what tires, like what gears, everything else.
Right.
This is going to make sense for you. But yeah, I'm all for the like decent sized front housing running like 18 to 20 psi, small rear housing to get it up, because RBs like to be lazy, so you want it to be punchy. The power figure you want, which I'd say around like 400 to 500 horsepower, like on the fuel you're on.
Truthfully, I'm just trying to hit 4.
And
Shit.
that's it. Yeah, that's probably the biggest thing. Everything else felt good, like on the car. It's hard to say because I didn't get the drifter properly, but yeah, it seems like a well set up car. So just fresh turbo and tune, and you're good to go.
Sick. Okay. Just curious. Appreciate that. Gotta be a little selfish with the questions sometimes. But okay. Well, next one is, what is your best piece of advice to anyone just getting into drifting?
Just don't dive in too deep. Spend your money wisely on what makes sense for you. Don't jump the gun with a pro car straight away.
But don't buy a Z.
I'm not saying don't buy a Z. Like, a Z is an amazing first car, honestly. Like a basic car, like E36Z that's set up. Like, if you can buy one that's like just set up with the like basics, it's a great like first car. The best way to get into the sport. See if you like it. Like go help some friends build their cars and jump in the passenger seat. Get out there, like make some friends in the scene. Like, it's an amazing scene. It's a great outlet. Like, we promote a lot of men's mental health stuff, and like getting out there, it's an amazing sport to get in and amongst a community of like-minded people, like on and off track and all that. So just get around. A lot of trauma
bonding.
Pretty much. And yeah, just get out there, don't go crazy, and make sure it's like, have a bit of a plan, so it can last a long time instead of just going all in, burning yourself and crashing early.
If you could speak to the entire world, what would your one message be? Doesn't have to be about drifting. Yeah.
That's deep.
Everyone says that.
Just do what you love. Whatever you're passionate about, try. It's a kind of similar thing. Like, try lots of different things. Whatever you're passionate about, just go for it. Like, all in. Like, things will just come your way if you love it. And yeah, same thing. Like, don't dive in too deep. Just do what makes sense at the right time, and don't put too much stress into it. Just go with the flow, and things will come your way.
Be a good person.
And
those things happen, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Hell yeah. All right, well, that's pretty much it for this one. If you want to kind of shout anyone out, plug yourself.
For sure, yeah.
Anything?
Definitely got to obviously shout out Keep It Reet. Like, if you haven't jumped on our YouTube, go check it out. We do some stupid ass builds. We've done like quad turbos out the bonnets, and we're doing some pretty cool builds that are coming up soon. And we're obviously building the new wagon, which some of the content should be released soon. So check that out, and you can follow my adventures. And of course, thanks to all the sponsors. Hopefully I can just like slap them all on the screen, because there's like a million of them at the moment. But
yeah, send me a little
clip art
thing.
I'll shout out the US, the most recent ones, which is Motul Oils, Kansei Wheels, Vitor Tires, and Drift Runner Games. They've been, they're jumping on most recent. And Optima Batteries, they're hooking us up. So
hell yeah, that's nice. Get
around it. I've got a whole heap of other sponsors, Howtech, PWR. It's good I can see him over there. Radium.
You cheater.
Autobahn, MPC, Hypergear Turbo.
He's literally just going to send me a picture of that.
Checker Tuning, Raceworks, Wrapped Up, SP Tools, Nitto Performance, Phoenix Radiators, Plasma Man, Ross Performance. There's a couple more left. A Costal Steering, which is what I run in all the cars, and Pertec.
Hell yeah.
And Circular Drift.
Hey.
Look after him. I'll send you the invoice for the shout out.
Yeah, that's fine. Just the not Circular Drift email. Send it to my assistant.
That's it. Anyway. Thanks for having me, man.
Absolutely, dude. This was awesome. I'm glad we were finally able to sit down and do it.
That's good. I like the set out here. It's been nice. Out in the sun, the end of the grid life, everyone's packing up. You're making me late packing up. But that's all right. I'm sure you're going to help me out, aren't you?
Yeah, I'll help you. For sure. All right. Well, yeah, that's pretty much all we got. So don't forget, hit that subscribe button and the bell notification. Drop a comment. Let me know who you guys want to see on next. Next event I have officially is at the Drift Mansion. So,
gangster, I want to get there.
Yeah,
where's
dude.
my invite?
Shit,
this
right
guy.
now.
This guy.
Right now. No, I'll talk. It's in July. Are you even going to be
I got no idea.
around?
I think I have saved that one. We'll see if it works out. I'll try and get there.
Okay, I'll talk to Scott for you.
Anyway, thanks for having me.
Absolutely, dude. Well, yeah, that's it. So, links to everything you might need from Injuku are in the description. And that's it. See you each and every Sunday for a new episode. Peace.
As a lot of you guys
probably already know,
very, very close group of friends of ours.
Drift Games
headquarter actually burnt down.
Lost literally everything in a fire in their shop.
Destroyed everything.
Stuff that money can't buy. And
I can't even imagine how that feels. It's unfathomable.
It had so many amazing cars, years of media, literally their life's work in that building.
The whole crew means the world to all of us. They have done so much for me, my friends, and honestly the entire drift community, not just America, but the whole entire world.
I don't know another crew in the entire world that is as nice, kind, and hardworking as they are. And
you guys might not even realize how much of an impact Drift Games has had on the entire drift community. To be fair, they probably don't get enough flowers for it. So with that fire, they are too important to me and to the whole community to let all of that work mean nothing. So because I want to see the boys come back from this even stronger.
If you guys do want to support Drift Games, order a shirt. They've got awesome merch. They've already had amazing support from around the world, but I know you guys can make an even bigger difference, and they can use all the help they can get.
We support you, Drift Games, and we are always here for you, no matter what.